Alrighty guys, Bitcoin back at 61,600. So we tapped 59,000 as I spoke around, going just lower than the previous low. And now we are seeing a bounce. Now again, is this a real bounce? There's a lot to speak around today. I want to speak around the altcoin bounce as well, but I do want to speak around bearish divergence forming right now. And if we don't break a certain level, right, it's very much likely we're coming down again. So is the bounce real? Let's go through the levels. I'm Sheldon, welcome to Sniper Trading. Like the video up. Let's jump in. Now, it's quite crazy. Look at this, guys. Look at my take profit points. Look at this. It missed it by like insane. Like just missed it. So that was crazy. I went to sleep, woke up, and I was like, what, really? I'm still in the shorts at this point. And obviously the limit orders that we set, right? We're looking at a possible double bottom here. We'll go through it now, but the limits are still sitting there for now. Now, let's go through the plays of where we're at right now. So there was the drop. Good sign that we are seeing is volume entering the market, right? So we saw a bunch of dump volume coming in, and we saw a bunch of green volume, right? Buying volume come in, which means that we're getting to a point of interest. Finally, we're getting some interest, right? That's what we need. Previously, we've just seen dumps. We're not seeing any buying interest. We're seeing some slowly start coming in. Now, again, we're still sitting at mid-time frame volume. We're not sitting at high time frame volume. So for me, that's firstly still one of the concerns right now, where I'm not seeing a huge daily candle come into play. Now, the second thing is this candle did not finish as a reversal candle. Does not mean that it won't reverse, but probability rise, right? This is still not convincing, right? Which means if I look at this, the body was still full and we had a wick, right? Which means that we didn't pin bar this. We didn't have a full buy up. We had an attempt, but it wasn't that strong buy up that we're seeing. Now, maybe it's the weekly that we're looking for the reversal, right? So even though on the daily, we're not getting that full pin bar, if we get a pin bar on the weekly, that's what we're looking for a reversal. And remember, from this area of drop now, we are looking for push up to the 70,000, right? As it stands right now, bears are still in control. Now, let's go through a couple of plays that are quite important here. We are right back at the bear wall, okay? So we did drop this level. We did push all the way down. We just missed the big support zone. Now the question is, do we flip bullish? Was that the bounce, right? There's a couple of ways that you track this. The first one is dragging the actual trend. So let's clean up a few trends here. We know that trend was the bearish trend that we lost. That is an important trend line right now, right? Specifically on the mid-time frame. And you can see we are stopping right here as we stand, which means that this level right here is where the bears are holding control. Right, this is where the bears are holding control right now, okay? The level after that is the main trend line that gives me an idea that the bottom is in, right? That's the top trend that has come throughout the last 2-3 weeks, right? The two lower highs that we made, that trend. And as you could see, we are still sitting a good distance away from the key major trend line, okay? Which means if I highlight the two areas of control where the bears are holding right now here, and then there's another wall that's sitting here close to 64,000 where the bears are holding, okay? But again, only above 64 to 65,000 does this make it a real scenario of that being the bottom just in, okay? So now, the important part here, right, is basically looking at the different plays that can happen. So for as long as we stay below this trend here, right, there's still a very good chance this could trickle down into here, and then we could see that big buy up we're speaking around. Right, that's an important thing to pay attention. Now, if we decide to break up today and push up to over here, this is going to be a big deciding point, right? It's very likely, again, 60% probability it's going to reject, okay? Then we're going to come down to the conclusion of either a higher low or we're looking at the lower low, okay? Now, I need to add a couple of tools to this to help me identify where we're at. Now, the important thing that we're noticing, or that I'm noticing right now, is bearish divergence that's being formed. Which means that if Bitcoin doesn't wake up soon, it's very likely another big drop is coming pretty fast. Okay, it needs to speed up now. Specifically, if it's a midterm real bounce right now, it needs to really speed up. If it does not, you can see the two highs over here extremely lower than each other, and you can see the RSIs are sitting higher. Okay, and if we go back here as well to just look at the daily, I just want to see that we're still very much in bullish divergence play here. So even coming down here, there's still really good signs that a big bounce is coming. It's not a bad bounce we're seeing, okay? But the question is, obviously, is it real? We need to get through this high of 63,000, right? If not, the bearish divergence stays in play and it just says, hey guys, still keep this in. Yes, it's a struggle to see it just miss, right? But for me personally, I'm still keeping the plays over here when it comes to this, okay? When it comes obviously to USDT dominance, which is important as well, this is the chart that I obviously set up yesterday, right? For as long as we are still actually holding this trend here, there's still very much that possibility of hitting that high, right? Which means that's that slightly lower low point that we're speaking around, and then the big drop off to the downside. What we also have is the short-term trend. That is, okay, Bitcoin wants to go to 63,000 first, and then possibly bounce off, right? Now, the next thing as well, before I get back to the Bitcoin chart, is the dominance is spiking up, right? Which means alts are still lagging right now. But I do see that once we're done with this low, I do see dominance actually probably ramping up quite a bit, which means the next pump is very likely to be Bitcoin, right? And then alts will rally up with it, but the catch-up will come when Bitcoin actually maybe gets to that 70,000 once we're through the stage. Okay, which means, again, for me as a trader, I'm looking for trades of Bitcoin right now. To trade between alts and Bitcoin, it's quite clear that Bitcoin for me is the play. Okay, but again, at the same point, those drops, I'm setting limit orders for the altcoins. So let's go through a couple of the altcoins. Right, we just missed my first limit order on ETH. Now, again, is ETH at the reversal? We're still quite far. We're actually days away here, guys. Okay, which means, again, I'm actually going to go back to the Bitcoin chart here just to be clear. Right, which means that this is the scenarios that could possibly play. Let's talk bullish today. We push up here, we start pushing down, we do this, and we break. That is a scenario. So even though we're seeing some short-term bullishness, this is still very much here in play. The second one is we actually start dropping from here. Okay, over the next 24, 48 hours, we drop into the zone here. Okay, then we see a buy up, then we see a chill period, and then we see a break. Right, that is definitely a play. Again, anything that sits here is super bearish. That's why stop losses are sitting at these areas over here. So going back here on ETH, right? ETH for me, again, the first play is here and then trickle down. Okay, the second one is from here, we trickle down and then push up and then play. So I'm still keeping limits orders in right now. However, if we do start pushing up and breaking these trends, the strategy will change and I'll start longing the other side of this trend line if that happens. But as it stands right now, we're still seeing bearishness. Right? Here's an example again. Here's Sol. There's the breakout. There's the retest. Right? If it gets on this side, we start looking at the second option. For now, we do have to look at a possible next drop off to the downside. Okay. Then if we look at stock markets, obviously we're hovering at all-time highs on the futures. Right? The 𝗕𝗓𝗟, nice break. Doesn't want to come and retest and then go up again, or is it going to continue rallying up? It is bullish. It is breaking high time frame views, which means likeliness of gold looking bearish right now, silver looking bearish right now are very much still in play. Guys, thank you for watching. Be here again tomorrow. Exciting time to be here. A lot of good trade setups in play. Let's get through this phase. Keep yourself nice and level, nice and calm. And I'll see you guys all on tomorrow's stream. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.